And yes, it's the MLK's remembrance tomorrow. And thank you for reminding us of that. Have you guys, Dave Chappelle, you know Dave Chappelle? Do you guys enjoy his specials? Yeah? Okay. Did you see the most recent one in Netflix? He does talk about actually MLK. One, that there are some people who compare Charlie Kirk to MLK. Yeah, I know. It's terrible. And he says, no, they're not. They were both assassinated, but that's the only thing they have in common. And he talks about how it took a long, long time for the country to remember MLK, to make that into a holiday. It didn't happen naturally. During his time, he was a very controversial figure because, of course, he was fighting for justice and racial equity. And like today, those issues are controversial for those who are in power. And he talked about how it took a long time to get there, whereas, well, with Charlie Kirk, let's remember, just took flight. And that's just the nature of our society, right? And actually says like Stevie Wonder and the King family had to fight to have the story of MLK be part of the American story. So this holiday, when I heard that, I was like, okay, this is very important because people fought for this. So we got to remember MLK, not just as, yes, the school is off, but to resist non-violently, that love overcomes hate, that the arc of justice bends towards, the arc of the universe bends towards justice. We got to remember that and to live for that. And I believe that we're doing that. So let us continue to do this good fight. So now we're in Psalms 32. As you said, we're going through, not all the chapters. And today we're at Psalms 32, and the way we approach this is that we're just going to go verse by verse, or phrases by phrases. And as I was preparing this message, I realized again that whatever emotions you and I feel, and in life, we will experience all gamuts of emotions. One, you're not unique in those emotions. You are unique, but whatever emotions you're feeling, other people feel too. It's just that we do not maybe express our emotions, or we do not hear others' expressions, so we might think we're alone and isolated, but you are not isolated. You are not alone in the emotions that you feel. From the highest elation to the deepest depression, you are not alone. And I think the power of poems or songs is that it reminds us that you are not alone. Because you know what it is? When you hear a song, you're like, oh, that's exactly how I feel. And then you understand, again, you are not alone in these emotions. There's someone else singing your pain, or strumming the guitar strings of your pain, or of your joy. And this does that. This Psalm 32 captures an emotion. And I think you've already known as we've gone through the Psalms, there is so many different emotions that these songs try to express. We've gone and heard songs of joy. We've gone and heard songs of blessings. We've gone and heard songs of abandonment. We've heard songs of peace. And here now, we're going to hear a song of someone who's just wrecked with sin and shame. Sin that causes shame and silence and sickness. And I did, okay. This David, this singer, knows what I've been through. So Psalm 32. Blessed is the one whose transgressions are forgiven, whose sins are covered. Blessed is the one whose sin the Lord does not count against him, and in whose spirit is no deceit. He begins with, you can say, if it's an essay, a thesis statement. But what he is saying is something that is very, very obvious to us. Anyone who's ever sinned, and I look around and I'm sure every one of you have sinned, like myself, also know what sin does to you. And the next couple of verses that follows, David sings about it, but also knows the joy that comes when you know that sin has been forgiven. And we long for that. It is a great blessing. Perhaps it is one of the greatest blessings to have all the sins of your life forgiven, to be free from the weight of the guilt of those sins, to no longer feel shame, to be free from all those things. And in some sense, we do long for that sense of, oh, I have a fresh start, innocent heart, like I feel like a baby again. And we long for this experience of newness in many things, actually. I think the whole reason why we celebrate New Year and we want the New Year is the sense of, I could start fresh, a blank slate. Whatever goals that I broke this past year, 25, I'm not going to remember that anymore. In 26, how many goals broken? 0 we start with, right? And we want that. We want that. Can you imagine if we did not have a new year? If we just counted the days and days and days, and we never were able to flip the calendar. I can't live like that. So we all want to experience this new start. So the new year, the new gym membership, we go to exercises, we go buy a new journal. Like, yes, I'm finally going to write my novel, yes. And that fresh page, the smell of it and the feel of it, again, promising us that whatever failures that we had before, that's not going to count against us. We start with a blank slate. How many sins? 0. We want that. And so he expressed that, blessed, isn't it? You are blessed if our sins are forgiven. If the Lord doesn't count against us, when the Lord looks at us, the ledger is clean. Why? Because if the sin is in us, if the guilt continues to be carried, then our body withers. Verse 3. When I kept silent, my bones wasted away through my groaning all day long. For day and night your hand was heavy on me. My strength was sapped as in the heat of summer. When we have sin, we feel ashamed. And so what we do is we keep silent. We want to hide it. We want to keep it quiet. We don't want anyone to find out. Because we feel like if they find out, then they will reject us. They will judge us. They'll find out who we really are. We have a facade. We dress up. We put a smile. Right? We put on the makeup. But not just the physical, but in our speech, all of that. But there's still that sin. There's still that secret sin. And you don't want it to be discovered. You don't want people to know we say to ourselves, who we really, really are. And so we remain silent. We don't tell anyone. We don't confess it to God or to anyone we love or care or trust. No, we can't trust anyone with this sin, not this sin. And what happens when we keep silent? When we keep the sin hidden secretly in our hearts, does it go away? If we don't speak of it, does it go away? No. It stays and it rots our soul. It stays and it causes sickness and illness in our body and in our bones. And actually, science tells us that. Right? Science tells us that when we are wrecked with guilt, actually, it doesn't just stay within our spirit. It actually diffuses through all of our body. It causes sickness and illness in our body. Scientific studies have shown that when we feel shame and we keep the secret, it weakens our immune functions. It causes higher inflammation. It causes digestive issues. We can't eat. We get headaches and migraines, and we pop in the Tylenol, and we think we could take care of it. Maybe temporarily we could, but then it comes back again, and we don't know why. But it's because we're keeping some shame and some sin secretly. There's chest tightness, there's stomach discomfort, there's shoulder neck tension, there's some aches and pains in our body. And this is the phenomena that David is telling us about. Now, David isn't a psychiatrist, or nowadays they call it somatic psychology. It's a field of study that realizes that there's no separation of mind and body. Whatever thoughts and feelings you have, it is also being expressed in some part of your body. Your body is being affected. Sin, where does it live? But the sin, the memory, the guilt, somewhere inside our body, and if we don't take care of it, it becomes a physical impact in our body. When a woman gets pregnant, she goes through morning sickness. So the food that she loved to eat, now she can't even stand the scent of it. Why is that? Just because there's some other thing living in her body, now her whole body reacts to the world differently. In this Baltimore lab that I went to this past weekend, there was a woman who was pregnant with her first child. And I talked to her about, is there a severe morning sickness? I said, no, but there's some food that I just crave. And then there's some food I eat, and I'm like, wow, I never tasted this food before. I mean, I did, but the taste experience is so different. And we were reflecting about it. It's not even a fully formed human being yet. It's like the first trimester. So it's not like the baby that's been formed has a taste preference yet. But just because there's some other thing inside her body, it's affecting how she tastes the world. It affects it. And so that's what secret does. That's what shame does. Something inside, and it affects everything. And so actually food becomes tasteless. All relationships, we try to avoid. We physically react against the world in a negative way. Our bones rot away, David says, when we have this sin inside of us. So how do we get rid of this? And you wonder, maybe David, well, of course David is singing, telling this thing out of his own experience. And as a poet, he pays close attention to the senses. And so although he's not a psychiatrist or did not study somatic psychology, he knows what sin does to your body. And he expresses it in poetic words. Could this be where he had actually committed adultery with Bathsheba? And then he commits murder of Bathsheba's husband and trying to cover the sin? And then now he's trying to cover that sin, and he's in this deceitful, scheming, conspiratorial work with his general. And he can't let anyone know. And now it's just destroying his family, but it's also destroying his body. This is what sin does. How does one get freedom from such sin? He continues. Psalm 32, verse 5. Then I acknowledged my sin to you and did not cover up my iniquity. I said, I will confess my transgressions to the Lord, and you forgive the guilt of my sin. Wait a minute. Are you saying, David, it is actually that easy? I'm expecting you gotta go travel the desert for 1,000 miles on your knees repenting. Then you'll find absolution. 1,000 male Harrys. Give everything that you have. Surely forgiveness, the obtainment of forgiveness, gotta be harder. But David goes, actually no. Maybe as one who tried to atone for your sin, but you can't atone for your sin. If we truly believe that we can atone for our sin, then we probably are underestimating the way and the impact of that sin. Sin is sin, and it causes breakage, it causes pain and hurt. And there's no way you and I, with our own power, can recover for it. Nothing that we can do to make up for it. If we think we can make up for it, there's a danger of either underestimating the sin that we've committed, or secondly, thinking that we are good enough to atone for it. Well, there's sin, okay, but I am good enough to prove myself good enough to be forgiven. It doesn't happen that way. The only person who can forgive is God. And what does God require of us? He says, well, confess. Confess. Say what you don't want to say. Say the thing you feel ashamed to say. It is a strange thing, right? That which seems to be the simplest thing is sometimes maybe the hardest thing. Maybe atoning for the sin is much easier, walking 1,000 miles in the desert, than to say, I was wrong. I hurt you. I did that. I am sorry. God, I confess. Maybe it's easier for David to build the temple of God than to say, God, I am a terrible human being. Yeah? Because if I build a temple, I could say, I'm still good. I built the temple of the Lord. But to just admit that at your heart, you did terrible sin, and to confess that before God, and to say that the only way I can find pardon is God's grace, is to say that I am powerless. I cannot atone. I need you, God. Your mercy is the only thing that can forgive me. So please forgive my sins. Friends, is any of us living in shameful silence? Then the good news today is all you need to do, and all that you need to do, is to confess to God, I am the sinner. I did wrong. Forgive me. And here's the thing. God is so quick and so willing to forgive us. God's grace. God's amazing grace. And how do we even speak of that? It's a promise. How do we explain that? I can't. But that's God's grace. We know that story about the thief who was crucified next to Jesus Christ. So up to that point, we do not know his story, but he feels the weight of that sin. And the society has deemed him as someone who's also guilty of societal sin. And he turns to Jesus and says, remember me when you go to paradise. So in the last second of his life, he says, I'm sorry. It's his form of repentance. He goes to paradise with Jesus. And when we hear that, we're like, well, that just doesn't seem to be fair. Like, that's all it takes? So then I should sin all I want all my life and just enjoy all the pleasures of the world. And just before I die, I know there might be a risk that I might die immediately, but just before I die, I say, God, forgive me, and I'm good. That just doesn't seem fair. But here's the thing. Whether the confession and the forgiveness comes at the last second of our life, or it comes today, the process itself is still the same thing. You understand? Right? The process is the same thing. Whether you said that last second or today, it is still confess, yes, you are forgiven. We did not do anything greater than the person who was crucified next to Christ, right? Just because we confessed it earlier. Our earlier confession doesn't make us more worthy of forgiveness. We just get to enjoy the blessings of forgiveness in this life. And no matter what point in our life we confess and experience the grace of forgiveness, it's always the same thing. It is pure grace. Pure grace. God says, I've been just waiting for you just to come out of that silence of shame. And child, I'm glad you said it. I forgive you. You're a new creation. That's the promise. Yes, it is easy as that, but it does take a lot. It's a paradox. Just to come and say, I have committed sin. Forgive me. Does any of you guys know Forrest Frank? I know Ian does, right? Forrest Frank. He sings that one of the songs that's secular that was a big hit was Sunday's Best. Do you guys know the song? Yeah, can you sing that? How does it go? Like feeling good.
Oh yeah, like a shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you guys know that song? Okay. All right. Huh? Yeah, it is a good song. Yeah. It was like the vibe of, was it the early 2020s, I think, right? It was a big hit. And now he just makes Christian songs. And he takes hymns and he modernizes it with this kind of modern beat. And in his testimony, he talks about how he grew up in the church. His mother is a worship leader, but he wanted to experience the world. Right? It was too restricting, so he started, doing what he wanted to do in high school. And he said, when he went to college, he's like, I'm going to do whatever I want, and he did. And all of the pleasures that he sought brought him more pain and depression. Right? And he talks about, as he's giving this testimony, like, it's difficult for me to even see any pictures of himself during this first year, because when I look at him, it looks like a different person. Because as much fun as he's trying to have, he could see the smile is not there. There's this deep darkness. And it said one day he said, I can't do this anymore. It's destroying me. And so he looked at Google Maps to go to a church nearby. It was a Wednesday night, so he's looking for any church that has a Wednesday night service. And he says that as soon as he entered the sanctuary doors, he felt the Spirit just opening his heart. And that's when he committed himself to saying, okay, I'm going to be making songs that honors Jesus. And the experience of forgiveness, again, it was just that step into, okay, I need Jesus. And for him, the confession was just going back to church and going to sanctuary and worshiping God. So what happens to this person who's forgiven? From verse 6, therefore, let all the faithful pray to you while you may be found. Surely the rising of the mighty waters will not reach them. You are my hiding place. You will protect me from trouble and surround me with songs of deliverance. He becomes confident now, doesn't he? Before he was silent, before he was afraid God's hand would be heavy on him, before he felt like if God sees him, God will destroy him, God will bring pestilence. But now he has this other relationship with God. You know what? God is not a judge. God is a protector. God is going to be with us. No water is going to overtake you. Don't worry about it. He has this new relationship with God. Did God change? God didn't change. It was I changed, right? Me. And my relationship with God changed because I have finally come out to the open and say, I have sinned. God, what should I do? Hey, I forgive you. You confess, I forgive you. And so now he has this newer, confident relationship with God. You are my hiding place. You're going to protect me. You're not the one who's going to hurt me. You are the one who's going to protect me. You will deliver me. And then he goes on, verse 8, I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my loving eye on you. Do not be like the horse or the mule, which have no understanding, but must be controlled by bit and bridle, or they will not come to you. Many are the woes of the wicked, but the Lord's unfailing love surrounds the one who trusts in him. Rejoice in the Lord and be glad, you righteous. Sing, all you who are upright in heart. So this could be God speaking now to David. Right? I will instruct you. I'm going to teach you. And so now God's command doesn't become heaviness, but it becomes joyful guidance. Because again, his attitude has changed. His whole relationship with God has changed. Or it could be that maybe David is saying to us who are listening to a song, I will teach you. See, I've been through this. I know what sin does. And I know what forgiveness is. And it's a great blessing. And the way to get to that, hey, it takes a lot in one sense. But it's also, it doesn't take much. All you need to do is confess. And gosh, when you do, then you become light. The burden is gone. You see God as a protector. And so let me teach you. Someone who's experienced something joyful is not trying to, share the good news with us. And then he ends up in verse 11, and we rejoice in the Lord and be glad and sing, all you who are upright in heart. And you end up singing. In the beginning, you are in silence because of sin, but when you're forgiven, you sing. And singing and dancing, that's a natural thing. Right? Babies, before they even know how to speak, they are singing and dancing, right? They are taught to be ashamed of singing and dancing. But when we can overcome shame, when we can experience the freedom, gosh, singing and dancing is just a natural thing. It just happens. Songs come out. We are happy. We make new songs. We don't care what other people think. Even if we sing flat. Even if our dance needs a little work. Still, I don't care. We're singing and dancing. We're singing and dancing. A powerful event in my life was when I was recording something for my dad. And my dad was, I think I was like maybe 9th grade or 10th grade. And my dad wanted to record his testimony. And he did not know how to use the tech in those days, which was a tape recorder, but, right? When you get a certain age, everything is tech. And okay, so he was at the front of the sanctuary. I was behind. In those times, the whole PA system was much, much bigger. And so I was hidden away, and I pressed record, and he was recording, and he was telling about how he met Jesus, how he had gone to the military, and the military, now he was free from the church and his mother. And so he did what he wanted to do. And when he came back, the first thing his mother said was, my son, God showed me a vision of what you did. I was like, oh, no, I did not do anything. No, I saw it. And God is hurt. And well, actually, the first reaction was he was angry. First, he didn't believe, and then he was angry at his mom. But that night, as he was washing his face, he said that he saw a vision of the cross, just across the sky. And there he repented of his sins. And that's when he truly experienced the God that he heard preachers talking about in the sanctuary. Before, that was his mother's God. It was the preacher's God. It was those rural, backward villages. But now it was the God who forgave his sin. That was the moment that he came to Jesus. And then he sings the song right then and there in this testimony. And I think in that moment he forgot that there was his son recording. Because she starts tearing and he starts singing the song. In English, it's this: happy day, when Jesus washed my sins away. But he was singing in Korean. 기쁜 날, 주 나의 죄 다 씻은 날. 기쁜 날 means happy day, Happy day when Jesus washed my sins away. He taught me how to watch and pray and live rejoicing every day. Happy day when Jesus washed my sins away. He was happy and crying. Crying because he was so happy. And that was so powerful for me because that was my dad, just another human person like me, who remembered when his sins were washed away. Crying at the moment of forgiveness, but even in that moment, remembering that and saying, oh yeah, God forgave my sins. And God still continues to forgive my sins. Friends, it is as simple as that. When we sin, we just come to God and we say, God, I have sinned. And God says, I forgive you. You are clean. You are a new creation. Come, let us sing and rejoice.